this episode, and we are talking about being a high value woman, femininity tips, and the traits that you need to have in order to be that woman, that girl. All right. So the first thing we talked about was being your purpose. And this is the PRGGC method that I have found to be the most helpful on my journey as a high value woman. And through these character traits, I've been able to build a massive, what I call the Bridges dynasty. So let's go into the next trait. The second one is being resourceful. I know. You probably didn't think that that would be one for being a high value woman because everything sometimes is so external. We forget about the internal things and like skill sets that we can have to really expand ourselves and what we do. So when you're resourceful, you find yourself being able to be efficient, right? You're going to find ways to get things done that probably should not even exist. That's what we as women do in general, but especially when you are a high value woman, you get things done better and faster. You become almost like a machine because you're just so good at what you do and you're not traditional. You're not trying to be what everyone else says that a woman should be. You are defining this for yourself and you make lemonade out of sour lemons that should have taken you out. And I can tell you now, for me, I have found being resourceful to be my greatest trait because in my resourcefulness, I have found ways to save money. I have found ways to invest differently. That's why my businesses have done well also because I have learned how to scale them and be able to work them without me having to work. That's why it's so important to be resourceful. That is probably a trait that when you're resourceful, it doesn't just help you in your personal life, it helps you in your business or career. It can help in your community and your relationships. When you learn how to make things work that weren't supposed to be able to work for you, that is where you strike gold. And I always share my story. You know, my mom raised my sister and I on a $10,000 yearly salary after my father passed away. And my mom didn't always have like everything, right? And we didn't have the money to be able to do certain things. So I would see her be resourceful and find ways to do things because what I have found is that femininity these days, what is shown online is extreme materialism. And although I have the money to do what I want to do, I am not a materialistic person. And I never have been, and I probably won't be because I believe in the power of using what you have. Is there anything wrong with luxury? No, we should all enjoy luxury things, right? But everyone's definition of luxury is different. You have to consider that as well. But this high value woman doesn't allow external things to define her, especially material items. She defines herself. She knows who she is. So she doesn't need to put all of her identity and her self-worth into not only materialism, but into her job or into her career, right? Or in her relationship or whatever it is, because sometimes we can do that. And I know even though I might not be materialistic, sometimes I've had like an identity where I felt like I got to be, this way in terms of my career. And I share that with you guys about my postpartum journey. Oh, I got to get back to it because if I don't, I felt like I wasn't doing enough, right? And when you're resourceful, you understand it's okay to have the things, the relationships, all of that, but you know that it is not just that's special. You are the person that created that. So you are the prize in this sense. Now, the next trait that I want to share that really allows you to be feminine yet high value is that you are gracious. Graciousness. I really didn't learn that until I was on my postpartum journey, what graciousness really was. Even though I had a hard postpartum journey and I suffered from depression, anxiety, I just was not myself, right? I had to learn how to be kind to myself. And I had to give myself grace for the season that I was in, as opposed to being mad at myself because I wasn't where I used to be. That's a thing. And I think that we all, in some way, are always focused on the future and we need to be doing this, we need to be doing that. Like, right? We got this plan A, plan B. And don't get me wrong, I think there's a season for that. But now some of us are in seasons where we just need to give ourselves some love and grace and say, you know what? It's okay that I'm not at this point. If you were meant to be at a certain point, you would be there, but maybe you aren't, and that's okay. Give yourself a moment to say, you know what? It's fine. I'll get to where I need to be. I also want you to think about, as a gracious woman, the giving that grace to those who aren't there either. I was not always like this. And you probably can tell I still am very disciplined. I'm very structured, but I was more militant in my style of life in general, right? I come from mostly everybody in my family is in the military, including my father, right? Before he passed away. So I was used to just this go, go, go and no excuses, right? No, you don't get to take time off. You don't need time off. You get it. That's what we do. And that is very wounded in masculinity. Like, that's wounded masculine energy. And what I have learned is that I can extend grace to others too. So the more I gave myself grace, the more I gave grace to my spouse, to people around me, right? Giving grace doesn't mean that you put up with people's stuff and they treat you bad all the time and you just, no. When I say grace, I mean you're able to understand people's humanity. You're able to accept that they're not going to be perfect and that they will make mistakes, because we all do. That is grace. And I remember different times when, like, my husband was maybe crabby because maybe something happened at work, and I would get upset with him, like, oh my gosh, why are you acting like this? But now I'm just like, okay, well, he's struggling with work. Let me just walk away. And I just do that, right? When you extend that grace, you give that person time and space to get where they need to be, whether it's mentally or emotionally. And you just also recognize in that grace that everything is not about you. Everything isn't your fault, right? Because sometimes that's the reason why we have a hard time giving grace, because we feel like we should be perfect. That's what I've learned, that we should be a certain way, but no, that's not how it goes. And another thing about being gracious is knowing when to speak and when to hush. I would say that as women, it's very easy for us to be more vocal and to always communicate and to share. But you have to know when to turn that off because you don't always need to say something. Sometimes it's best to keep things to yourself. What I love, and I think this makes me much more high value than anything, is that I'm mysterious. How I'm mysterious is I don't share everything about myself or my life. I am very selective in who I allow to be around me, right? Because I know how to move and how to do things, it makes me more valuable because I'm not for everyone. Think about a limited edition of something. There's only so many that can be attained, and that marks of the value. You have to see yourself as that. And when you do, that means sometimes I don't need to say nothing because my value is too great, and I might diminish my value by speaking on things that don't align with my value, if that makes sense. How to help you know when to speak and not speak. Number one, are you emotionally regulated? Now, emotional regulation is why I am here and where I am today. I want to be very honest about that. I struggled emotionally, and I have shared with you all, I believe, about my astrology. So my moon is in Aries, and what that basically means is that I am ruled by Mars, which is passionate, driven, get it, impatient, right? But I also, well, not but and also my South Node is in Cancer. And Cancer is very emotional and crabby sometimes, like those two meshed together during my postpartum journey and my plus hormones, and my emotions were everywhere. Like I was not regulated. I was always kind of anxious, or I would unfortunately get depressed, right? And so those things were going up and down. And so my mouth was like, blah, 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 blah. The year of 2024, I started doing EFT tapping. Now, if you don't know what EFT tapping is, it's where you tap your meridian points and you speak to make yourself feel safe. Like you may say certain things that can be like affirmations, or it can be you're talking through your particular emotion that you're feeling. So, for example, here are your meridian points: the top of your head, the inside corner of your eyebrows, outside the side of your eyes, under your nose, under your chin, your collarbones on both sides, the where your for my ladies, where your bra strap is, right on that area on the side, both sides, and then karate chops on the side, right? So those are your meridian points. And basically, I would tap those, and I still do it to this day. I've done that for a year and 3 months straight. When I tell you it changed everything for me, it changed how I eat, because when you are struggling emotionally and your body's not regulated, you will go to sugar more easily. And I never had that problem. I won't say never, but I didn't have that problem as bad pre-pregnancy because I felt regulated. Post-pregnancy, the dysregulation was real, right? Plus, I was breastfeeding. So I was naturally eating more. You guys, when I tell you my cravings went down after doing EFT, my the way I respond to things, I look back during my period of time before I was doing that, I was like, oh my gosh, I was not regulated. And even though I tried different things, EFT and somatic shaking really helped me the most. Somatic shaking is where you just stand up and you shake your entire body. If you have a vibrational plate, which I do have one of those, I stand on one time a week, which I might do that today since I have some extra time. That helps as well. And it helps with any lymphatic drainage and all of that. You guys, I highly recommend that. Now, for EFT tapping, I do have in all of my courses, if you go to shesworthy.org, you can check out any of my courses, or also I'm on TikTok. I have some EFT tapping sessions at I am JL Thomas on TikTok, or Money Goddess. I highly recommend that. Now, we're still talking about being gracious and knowing how to speak, when to speak, um, making sure that you are aware of your actions. But I want to also note that you make valuable use of your energy and your graciousness, and you choose peace over being right. That's a gracious woman. I remember when I didn't choose peace, and not choosing peace cost me so much. Like when I reflect, I'm like, man, I just wanted to be right. And you know why we want to be right? Because we want to be loved and accepted. And we want to feel good about who we are, what we're doing. So that's why it's very easy to fight for being right. And obviously, that's what the world does today. When we have wars, somebody wants to be right. It's not about winning, it's about who says their point of view or what they're doing is right. When you choose peace, you don't have to fight for being right, because it's not about what's right. Being right is subjective to whoever and whatever. It's there is no black and white. That's not how the world works. So when you understand that concept and you grasp that wisdom, you will choose peace. Choosing peace saves my energy, and it saved even my marriage. It saved my businesses. It saved me. Because I now pursue peace, I don't care as much about other people's opinions of me or what other people are doing. I know that in my own graciousness and how I see myself, that what I'm doing by choosing peace is the right thing for me. Now, I want to go to the next trait, and that is who y'all like being grateful. I think being grateful is the most underrated trait in the world. I have found that so many people are not recognizing the beauty of gratitude. So, every opportunity that you get in your life, I would spend some time being grateful for. What I like to do, and this is also in my journal, Your Way to 100K digital workbook. You can find it shesworthy.org/journal, or you can go on Etsy and find me, Money Honey Hive. The journal is there, and there is a huge sale going on, so I would check that out. You are going to want to write down the good things that are happening in your life. Even if it's just every day, you try to find one thing to be grateful for and just do that over and over and over and over. You will see all of the good even in your challenges, because we all have them. You know, our lives are not perfect and things don't always go as planned, but when you can find a moment to be grateful, it does all the world of difference. Now, also in gratitude, you don't compare your situations to others. And I have had to really work on this, because when we're on social media, when we are watching other people, we start to think, well, wait a minute, I'm not doing that. And even if it's subconscious, Sometimes it's subconscious. I found myself watching like certain influencers and they have this perfect morning routine, the perfect skincare regimen, the perfect workout. Like they just have all of these things that are perfect. And you start to look at yourself, especially me in my life, like I'm a mom, I'm a wife. I don't have a routine majority of the time, not because I don't want one, but because my routines are always interrupted. My husband does not go to work at the same time every day. Right? So if he's up, then I'm probably going to be up. Then the kid's going to wake up. Like he doesn't get home in the same time. So sometimes we have to switch who goes to get the kid. Or if the kid, for example, this Friday has an off day, I mean, a half day, and I forgot about it. Like it's all these different things. My life does not look like that. And I understand also theirs doesn't either because they're filming and they're making content around this. But it's like we can subconsciously feel like something is wrong with us because we're always seeing everyone else. We're always looking at this. If we didn't know, if we didn't have social media, because I remember a time before social media, I don't think we ever thought as much was wrong with us before. Like we might have had people that we would see in person. We're like, ugh, ugh. But now we see everybody. Everybody. We are bombarded with other people's lives and people being the expert of something that we don't even see what works for us. And that's what I want to bring you back to. What are you called to do? What are you supposed to be doing? What are the blessings that God has bestowed upon you? I have the blessing of motherhood, of having a marriage, having a household to run, right? Even though those things are insanely tough, I have those things. Those are the things that I prayed for. Versus if I'm looking at someone else, though what they're celebrating or what they're showing might be their blessings. We all have a different set of blessings. We also have a certain set of limitations. When I see someone with 5 children running around, definitely knowing that is not what I am good at. That's a lot of energy, a lot of things. And I recognize that may not be my, well, not may not, that is not my calling. I have so many other things that I am working on and building. And also in your gratitude, you understand timing because maybe for you, it's a job that you see someone else has your dream job, but it's not your time because maybe you're building something, or maybe you don't even know why it's not your time. Sometimes we are stuck in the unknown, but when we are grateful for where we are right now, it makes a world of difference. So, the next thing that we are going to look at for our trait is being consistent. That's the last one. PRGGC. Purpose, resourcefulness, gracious, grateful, and consistent. Honey, even though I told you my routine is chaotic, I still have a level of consistency. That level of consistency comes from inside. You do what you say you're going to do. Now, when you need to make adjustments, you need to, be gracious to yourself. That's one thing. But what can you consistently, or what are you consistently doing? Keep your promises to yourself. Keep your promises to yourself. So for me, promises that I have to myself are obviously sharing content with you all, right? I might not do that every day, but I make sure I show up certain times and have content going out for you guys weekly. Also in my regimen, you guys, I am 4 months into Pilates, reformer Pilates. Now, I used to teach mat Pilates when I was in high school and college. I still do a little bit of mat Pilates at home, but I joined a reformer Pilates club. And you guys, I'm 15 pounds down after 4 months. At first I was going twice a week. Now I go 3 to 4 times a week. Plus, I do mat and I do steps. Very excited. And I was healing though because my both of my ankles were sprained. They are still a little swollen. Is this 6 weeks? 7 weeks. We are 7 weeks. Yeah. So I still was consistent though, even though I was struggling and I could have stayed my behind at home because these ankles were not playing with me. I was still consistent and I showed up. If I couldn't, when I couldn't go, I would do Pilates at home. So for me, that just shows my tenacity to keep my promise to myself. Right. And my promise was that I wanted to give my body love. And the same thing even with my hair. Like I am on a natural hair journey where I am just wearing my natural hair. I don't know for how long, but it's been since December, I think, and I'm recording this in March. Like I really want to stay on that journey because I know the benefits of taking care of my hair in general, right? But as I'm beginning to age, I understand what happens in our bodies and how things change. But the more that I take care of that, my hair is going to thrive because I see myself as this old woman with gray, beautiful hair, just beautiful. And every time, someone sees me, they're like, oh, grandma, let me play in your hair. I just think about that. So I want to pour into that now, and yes, you can make changes where needed. Things arise, but you don't quit and you don't stop. And it can be anything. It doesn't just have to be the things that I shared. Maybe you are working on saving a certain amount of money, but guess what? Maybe something comes up and you have to spend, but are you going to get back on? Right? Or do you just say, I'm done altogether? You're not going to take shortcuts, right? Because that's another thing. Sometimes the reason why a lot of us let's talk about it. There are sometimes some get rich quick schemes and it's even lose weight quick, get married quick, right? We're wanting to do things so quickly, and I have done this before too, so I'm not like blaming or shaming anyone. I've learned that if you were just consistent and you took baby steps as opposed to trying to like hit the biggest target first, you will get the greatest reward. You will find yourself being able to get what you want a lot more easily and you can sustain it. I have found that the more that I practice this of the consistent habits of things, it gets easier and it becomes automatic. And I like that. I like being able to be consistent as opposed to, okay, I'm going to lose, 20 pounds in a month. Have I done that before? I have. Have I kept it off? No. But the way that I'm doing it now is a lot easier to sustain and it's healthier because you don't need to change your body very quickly. That's actually not good for you. Or any other things. We don't want to do everything so quick. Sometimes we need to take our time, stack our habits to get the results that we want. So, if this episode particularly was helpful for you, let me know. We have comments on Spotify now, so you can share that in the comments if you are listening there. Please feel free to leave a review if you are on Apple Podcast as well. And anywhere else where this episode is airing, I love our community. And I know that so many of you all are sharing how much the podcast has helped. So feel free to reach out to me on Instagram, Facebook. I'm also again on TikTok at I am JL Thomas. You can find me on YouTube, The Money Goddess 333. You guys, I want you to be a part of what we are doing. And I am helping souls. I am helping people to find their best selves. And in all of that, it creates wealth. Okay. In all of it. Sometimes when I'm doing my topics, I know it might seem like, oh, she's not really talking about money a lot this week. It's because I want you to be a well-rounded person. That has taken me to where I am. It's not because I just solely focused on money, because if I had, I would not be any good. I focused on the whole person, and that has made me even more successful. And I want that for you as well. I love you guys so much, and take care.